One Punch Man, Chapter 123, True Form. So this was a great chapter. A lot of reveals in this one and some stunning developments, but I think a lot of us expected that we were going to get what we were going to get in this chapter. Like, even if you didn't read the webcomic, I think you kind of might have, put two and two together and figured out that maybe things aren't as they seem, and maybe there's literally someone pulling the strings behind the scenes, and that's exactly what turned out to be true. So let's get into it. So first of all, and randomly, we're getting a big development on Pig God and some explanation as to what's going on with him. This is all new stuff. We don't get this whole little page of exposition in the webcomic, so it's nice because he's one of the least touched on S-Class heroes, I'll say, and one of the least explained at that as well. So this is awesome. So apparently he is a living legend in the world of the obese. So I guess that's adding to his popularity, something that was also ambiguous about this guy. I've actually talked about that earlier this month on the channel about Pig God and if he is even popular. I mean, granted, he's an S-Class hero, but it's just nice to get some clarification on that. But apparently the thick layer of fat underneath his skin is capable of absorbing impacts of any kind. We kind of figured that out earlier on. We saw him bust through the wall pretty easily, and when he was able to tussle with monsters and stuff like that. I mean, aside from him just being super durable, which is very similar to that of Fat Gum in My Hero, which is he's currently prevalent in season 4 right now. Check that out if you haven't already. But he also has super strength as well. But also the clarification that blades and firearms can't reach his organs or damage them, so that's awesome. He's just a straight up tank. And also, he has a freaking regeneration ability, something that we definitely didn't know about up until this point. So in cases of injuries, the natural healing properties of the energy in the fat will make him recover immediately. So he's clearly a freak of nature. And this also goes back into why we saw Dr. Genius checking him out on the computer back in season 1 along with Darkshine, Metal Bat, and Watchdog Man. He's like a supernatural superhuman, just like the rest of them. Clearly, obviously, S-Class for a reason, but he actually has some of the more significant abilities that we have seen. And it's also clearing up how he was able to tank Eyesight's poison back in season 2. Because it says after years of consuming all kinds of animals, plants, and monsters, his body simply just developed resistance against toxins. And his body apparently has no blind spots. So yeah, that's just how he was able to do it. But as we see, he is he's getting literally eaten by gums here. So just like the rest of the S-Class heroes, he's not doing so well. He's actually kind of getting beasted at this point. But I guess the reason why he's not being eaten completely is because, that super strength we were talking about and his quick regeneration ability. So that's nice. But also, unfortunately, our boy Atomic Samurai seems to have been just completely defeated as well at this point. It's finally happened. He has taken his first big L of the series. There's no way around this. He has been defeated by Black S in an awesome panel, which looks way better than it does in the webcomic. I love this huge hulking Black S with all of the faces in him. Super cool. And then also, it appears that Zombie Man has been defeated by Homeless Emperor. Now, I say defeated loosely because we're not getting definitive ends to these fights, but more or less this is the way they went. It's not looking like they have won, but the verdict is still out essentially. No spoilers or anything, of course, but I think you can kind of decide for yourself the verdict of these fights. But the Homeless Emperor says something interesting. He says, what's the matter? Aren't you going to revive again? Or can you not do that anymore? So is this giving us some insight into the regeneration ability of Zombie Man? Does he have a limit? Can he gas out on it? Is there only so much he could do? It was kind of implied that he could just do it endlessly, because he was fighting Pure Blood a couple chapters back. Awesome. That didn't seem to really hinder his regeneration abilities. And also the infamous fight against Carnage Mode Carnage Kabuto in the virtual genocide simulation, but of course that was a simulation. But in reality, it seems like he might be gassing out on his regen. So that doesn't mean that he just stops regenning. It just means that it takes maybe longer than it typically would if he just keeps getting blasted and blasted and blasted. Also, Child Emperor is thrown into the mix here, and he's straight up defeated by Evil Natural Water, as we kind of expected. He was a little too overzealous in the beginning of that fight, made it seem like it was going to be easy, but this is actually the toughest we have seen so far, and he's just straight up being drowned by the Evil Natural Water. This is pretty gruesome, actually, pretty scary. But he's still thinking, still trying to figure a way out of this. But he also says that he's essentially running out of things to use on this guy. I personally already thought that he was going to be at the end of his arsenal after he took out Phoenix Man, but then we saw the Snowman. But now he's like pretty much almost done. But if you really look closely, you can see that he has like this oxygen mask on him. Like it's difficult to see at first glance, but it's coming out of his backpack. So he's not drowning, but he could possibly be once he runs out of his air supply. It's really up in the air, how much he has, but he is still hanging on at this point. But he says that his sugar's low. That goes into why he's always like licking that lollipop and whatnot. Very similar to L from Death Note. They kind of get that insulin spike and it helps their mental acuity. So also, my mask has lost, more or less. I'm not really sure what's going on with the My Mask, actually. This whole sequence, while it does happen in the webcomic, the way that it plays out in the manga is way different. So we've got like these funhouse mirrors. I don't know what's going on with this. Is he literally seeing these things, or is this like some kind of genjutsu? Because in the previous chapter, it said he possesses resilient physical body and savagery, can see through his opponent's attacks and figure out attacks that they fear the most, uses relentless violence and swearing to destroy people both mentally and physically. So is he like genjutsuing My Mask here through just a verbal onslaught or something like that? Or maybe this is just meant to be left up for interpretation. Or maybe this is just how a My Mask interprets his attack that he's receiving from Fear Ugly, both physically and mentally here. Like it's just like the trope of the funhouse mirror and his face appearing in all of them. I guess it's up for interpretation. Pretty cool, but man, it seems like this is the worst that My Mask has ever done in the series so far. I mean, he's bleeding from the nose, bleeding from the mouth, bleeding from the head. But he seems to be probably in the best shape of all of the S-Class heroes currently, that is. But that's not really saying much, because I'm sure he's getting thrashed since he's literally incapable of defending himself at this point. So we finally return to Tatsumaki's lingering fight with Giro, and she successfully pulls the quote-unquote lump of meat out of Giro. And apparently this is just like a controller, like a remote control, just to make the operation and the control of Giro much simpler for the true string puller behind the scenes. So we'll get into who that is. But she says something super interesting. So she's basically saying that she's at her wit's end, but then if she can get Homeless Emperor and Black S to join forces, they can kill anyone. So let's read too much into that, because you know me. Is this mean that she is scaling Black S and Homeless Emperor to 1 and 2 in the association, at least among the Cadres? And when she says kill anyone, does that mean like Orochi too? Or does that mean like Blast possibly? I don't know, it's really up for you to decide, but it's very interesting that she just specifically says them. Obviously, there are other Cadres there, including Overgrown Rover, but it's just those that she is targeting out. So then we get the big reveal, and it turns out that the true leader of the Monster Association is the woman that we saw encounter Orochi back in Chapter 92 in that flashback. So some of you manga-only readers probably thought that that was just Giro's human form, and that what we saw of Giro is like what happened when she ate monster cells. And that's a fair assumption, because why would you just think that she's controlling Giro through a meat puppet 1,500 meters below the Monster Association? But also back in Chapter 109, Tatsumaki says to the woman, "Aren't you Fubuki's friend?" So I guess that's giving us more hints as to who this character is. Now, her name isn't revealed in this chapter. It will be revealed at a later point, so I'll save the reveal for then. Her being Fubuki's friend is interesting, because she's an Esper just like Fubuki, so I guess that's more insight. So then Tatsumaki is able to psychically pull her from 1,500 meters below the ground, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like throwing her arrogance in her face. But then she psychically calls to Overgrown Rover, who's still out there. We saw him run away from Orochi and Saitama, but now he's back, and we see that he's encountered the new Fubuki group of Bang Bomb and Fubuki, but surprisingly, Fubuki is able to shield them from a blast from Rover. So this is awesome. Putting some respect on Fubuki's name. Being the B-class rank 1 hero, she successfully defended against a dragon level attack, something that vaporized demon level monsters and completely wrecked pre-woke Garo, one of the most durable characters we've seen so far. So this is no light feat, pretty impressive, but also I'm sure this is very stressful on her. She can't just, you know, go toe-to-toe with Rover and just like it always nullifies attacks. I mean, we're gonna see what's gonna happen after this, but this whole sequence here is playing out similar to how it is in the webcomic, but it's also different at the same time. So what's going to happen at this point? It's up in the air, honestly. But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this one. Where do you see Tatsumaki and the mysterious woman Esper going? What do you see happening with Bang Bomb, Fubuki, and Overgrown Rover? And what do you think is going to happen with the S-Class heroes? Let me know. And if you liked the review, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. If you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.